Hello! I have a computer monitor all set up over here, which you'll probably see later, and that's very exciting for me. Recently I went through some of my old phones, my old cell phones, and went through the drafts or the notes of them, and saw that I used to write a bunch of stories and story ideas in the notes of my phone. And I was like, wow, I wrote so much like that. Why have I not been doing that? I'd also been having a thought, independent of this phone draft journey, that I should be writing because I want to have things written. I'd love to just write sci-fi, like a lot. So I need to start doing that in order to do that. So in order to be a writer, I decided I need to write. And an easy way for me to do that, regardless of space and time, that makes it seem like I'm a time traveler, regardless of time limitations and where I am, I can write on my phone. And that's what I used to do when I was in college and stuff like that, before I got super busy with writing a thesis and all that. Yeah, I just started with an idea that I've had for a really long time. It's mentioned in some of my phone drafts several times. I now have evidence of it. It's basically a story about two people in a long-distance relationship who, one is working on teleportation science and the other is not. And anyway, teleportation causes some problems, but becomes a way for them to be together more frequently. So that's the general idea, and so I've written now the first chapter, which is super exciting. Previously my writing process has been like really terrible because I was in high school, and I feel like a lot of people's high school writing process is like really crazy because like you have all this story in your head and then like none of it makes any sense when you get it on the page. I'm sure there's some kids who like can actually figure it out, but I was not one of those people. I've done NaNoWriMo a couple times and I've never been super successful. I don't think I've won, but I've gotten pretty close, and I've written quite a lot from NaNoWriMos, but something about the NaNoWriMo process doesn't make me happy to then write later. So what I'd like to do is get back to kind of a normal, something I can actually do throughout the year writing process, where I can end up with something that I might be a little bit more happy with. My writing progress so far, I can't remember what day I started on, because I started writing on this little whiteboard sometime afterwards. I think I started around the 1st of this month. I haven't updated the board every single day, but I have kind of an idea of the progress that I've been making. So it seems like every day or 2 days I write about 400 words, and that's almost entirely dependent on how tired I am, because what I like to do now is write just before bed. So I go into bed and then I write for half an hour or an hour, and then I do my reading and then I fall asleep. And in the morning when I have my breakfast, sometimes I'll do a little bit of writing or a little bit of reading. So I've been having a great time with it. This is one of the first times that I've actually been able to figure out what my chapter break is, because I wrote to a certain point and then I was like, oh hey, this is where there's going to be a shift in the story, like this scene or this section of the story is over now. And then it was at somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 words, which the internet told me was a good chapter length. Let me see. Okay, it's giving me characters. Okay, 3,854 words. And for me, having like a whole chapter draft compared to like a quantity of words made a lot more sense to me. So now I'm like, I made progress. I think I finally figured out how I'm actually going to be able to write and do everything else that I do at the same time. And that's great, because me getting my laptop out, getting the story out, that's a whole thing that's kind of only going to work on some weekends. And typing something into the notes on my phone can work all the time. And I guess now this will be a little writing vlog. I think I might be a little bit done with writing for today. I can't remember what I started with on this. I think it was something like 400 words. Now I have 1,004. And I just wrote something that was kind of fun, because the main character is a, well, I guess there's two main characters, but she's like the more main character. She's a researcher studying like the teleportation stuff, and she's writing one of her reports for her professor, which is something that I had to do all the time when I was in grad school. I had to write daily reports when I was in like overseas to keep me like on track, even though I was not in the same country. So yeah, I was just able to put a little bit of like her writing a report while she's it's basically like she's in the airport, but she's, you know, traveling through space. So it's like a space airport. So that was kind of fun. I think I should do the dishes. Okay. Alright, that's the update. Bye. I'm here with my cat. So the last update was on Sunday, and now it is Monday, May 13th. And I haven't done anything, really, since the last closing, except I think I wrote like 2 sentences. I wrote 40 words before going to sleep. I was really tired last night. I didn't sleep very well either. So I think I'm gonna write a little bit more and see how far I get. I think that's a good habit to keep the novel like in your thoughts, so that you're kind of working on it throughout the day whenever you have like spare time to think. So I'm glad I'm not trying to go for like really long periods of time, because then I think you end up in a position where you haven't thought about it yet, and then you just write some mumbo jumbo. So I haven't written that much. I did go back and add in some stuff earlier, but from the new part I've only written 128 words. But I did start Googling some science things, because this story does hinge kind of on like wormhole stuff. Because I don't want to do, I've been saying teleportation, but I realize that's the wrong word to use. But I don't know what to say. Earlier I said something like like near instantaneous travel, because teleportation would be like disassembling and reassembling without actually traveling, I guess. But I want like wormholes. I'm trying to figure out how space actually works, and if I'd be able to have so many little wormholes. Because my idea is that this lady is doing research, and she figures out theoretically how to do this travel method. She has to like create these little wormholes. They don't just exist, they're just like thin spots. But I think because you'd have to have space folding in a certain way for that to work, and I can't see how space would be that fucking folded up in like such a small distance, that I'm not sure how to make this work. So I'm looking up different things to try to figure it out. I think I need to do some research about like theoretical physics. I don't know how sciencey to get into this because I'm kind of already like into it a little bit, and it's kind of fun having it be like she's doing the hard science and we like see the result of it, but like I also kind of would like to have some real science behind it and just use it all popularized and stuff, because that's like one of the fun things about science fiction. Like, I read this book, it might have been one of the Harrison, was it like Death World 2? There was some sci-fi book that I read, and I really can't remember which one it is. Basically, there's a main male character who's like really buff and comes from a society of real buff men, and he's good at everything, he's really buff. And then there's this lady who's like a scientist, and she, I think, is a biologist and an archaeologist or something. Anyway, I think the solution to the problem has to do with some fungus that does something sciencey. And I'm like, oh, like the science-y aspect of the fungus, or whatever the fuck it was interesting. I talk a little bit about like forces, like stuff you would learn in like, cause I'm an engineer, in like engineering physics classes and stuff like that. But I don't know. I kind of want to make it more sciencey, but then I'm going to have to research a bunch, and then I'm going to have to fix a bunch of shit, and like I'm kind of already on a roll, so I think I might write my dumb story and then maybe read more science along the way and then go back and fix some things. But I don't want it to like actually be a plot point that I have to fix. Also, I am wearing the same shirt, but I did not wear it all day. I just changed into it. Planet of the Damned. That's what it is. I fucking swear it is. They don't even say what her degrees are in. She's like really educated, but then she's like an absolute, like, well, one, she's like kind of an idiot, and then two, she like just is unconscious for almost the entire book. It is ridiculous. It is one of the worst books. It's kind of fun, but it's also so bad. I am going to take a shower now. Well, that's it. That's what I wrote for today so far. So, goodbye.